Hello and welcome to the series of webinars on S4HANA. Today we are going to have the first webinar in the series called the S4HANA Overview. My name is Nagesh Pezwada and I have the experience of handling a lot of S4HANA engagements and doing solution architecting on HANA and S4HANA. So let's go and see, go forward and see what we have, to discuss today. So what is S4HANA? Because we all have heard the buzzword HANA since a long time. We have heard about HANA database, we have heard BW on HANA, we have heard HANA sidecar, or you would have heard suite on HANA, you would have heard S4HANA, simple finance, and a lot of buzzwords. So let's get a bit inside and understand what is S4HANA. So quickly, we have heard about SAP transforming right from the early days and going forward through a lot of product flavors, say from R2 to R3 to my SAP ERP, and then over to ECC5, and then ERP Central Component 6, and so on. SAP runs on any database, right? Traditionally, we know that it runs on any database. So be it Oracle or be it SQL Server or be it DB2, Sybase, etc. So SAP has innovated and invested and developed a database and a platform called HANA. So what is a HANA platform or HANA? HANA is nothing but a HANA database, which is a columnar and an in-memory database, which runs on a specific hardware appliance or a hardware, tailored data center machine. So this together is called HANA database running on a specific machine is called the HANA platform. So the platform came in the early 2011 and it was in vogue for about 2 years, wherein a lot of innovations and solutions were developed by SAP like the HANA sidecar, or we had COPA accelerators for some specific pointed solutions. HANA was being used, or for BW, for HANA, etc. But in year 2013, SAP came up with something called the Suite on HANA, where all the business suite applications like the ERP, the CRM, the SEM, etc., were running, were tailored to run on the HANA database. So the business suite applications running on HANA database was called the Suite on HANA. So what it brought was that the application suddenly became very faster. The database got, because of the compression algorithm in the database, the size of the data has gone up to by 75%, and it also had improved a lot of the long-running reports, or even some of the custom objects which were running for a long, actually have had a shortened time frame. Performance has improved leaps and bounds. And then over a period, slowly, apart from the Suite on HANA, SAP has brought in some more changes over the period. And the first of the series was the S4HANA. S4HANA reminiscent with the R3, release 3. This is S4HANA, SAP for HANA, which came in 2015 March. And this was an application. As a product, it's completely different from the Suite on HANA, because there was a lot of changes at the database core structure level and the application level as well. So predominantly in fact 100% on the finance side, wherein a lot of the finance aggregate tables and index tables were removed. The unwanted tables or the redundant tables were removed, and instead a simple single universal ledger has been formulated. And all the removed tables have been made as views, so that there's no impact on some of the programs. But from a migration standpoint, if people wanted to move from, say, ERP to SOH, it is more or less like a technical upgrade. But if people wanted to move from ERP to S4HANA, they had to undergo a migration process which had some functional migration of the finance data. So all the removed total tables and the index tables had to be reconciled, and through a specific sequence of steps called the pre-migration steps, we had to migrate to simple finance. And eventually, after the upgrade is completed, we have to do a lot of post migration and then go forward. So S4HANA 1503 was predominantly also called Simple Finance, wherein Simple Finance was running as an add-on, And both SOH and S4HANA also had an added advantage that apart from doing transactions, people were able to run their analytics by way of the HANA Live. HANA Live is a component running on the HANA database with all the database structures, the artifacts, HANA artifacts as they call, which would help the users to have a live operational reporting. So earlier, people had to be dependent on the third party or SAP BW for analytics, and doing huge analytics to perform analytics, etc. Whereas with HANA Live being there, they could do a lot of reporting straight away online. And cutting across to the year 2015 November, in the same year that S4HANA S got released, November, SAP came up with SAP S4HANA Enterprise Management, or the SAP S4HANA 1511, or the digital core. So what it meant was that the simple, apart from the finance, even the logistics processes have been simplified and optimized. And like there was a lot of reduction in the database tables, they were even the logistics tables have been optimized, wherein a lot of unwanted tables have been removed, and a lot of these tables have been unified into one big table in logistics. So apart from that, they also started moving a lot of the IS solutions into the core, and say some of the products like the SAP service, the service piece, the CS module has been enhanced further to have some of the CRM service functionality moved in here. And the APO also partly got moved in here. Another major improvement was that the integrated business planning, wherein the business planning component of the BPC got moved with the help of embedded analytics into the component itself, into the core itself. And then we had the HANA Live replaced with the core data service views. So there were a lot of views created inside the embedded views created inside the database, which could be used by the users to run their analytics. For example, we could render the view using an ABAP, or using a Fiori app, or using a Lumira dashboard or a View dashboard. So several such standard views have been created, and even a provision has been given to create a lot of custom views. And cut to year 2016 October, the next version of the SAP S4HANA, the digital core extension came, the 1610. Here, furthermore, improvements have been brought into the logistics area. And when we talk about the logistics improvements, both in 1511 and 1610, the major change was the business partner migration. So earlier you had the customers and vendor masters, wherein you had a specific transactions to handle those, whereas now everything has been integrated into a business partner, wherein you will have a business partner and extend his role either as a customer or as a vendor or a ship to. So you could create those roles for the same business partner. So business partner migration also becomes a key. So when people migrate from, say, any of the lower versions to the enterprise management or the digital core, they necessarily will have to do the simple finance migration and the logistics migration. So in 1610, furthermore, things have been added. The extended warehouse management, which was earlier running as a separate landscape, got integrated. The functionality got moved into the core and integrated. But from a license standpoint, yes, you will have to have a separate license, and advanced available to promise PPDS. So several other things have been added into the core itself, but with their licensing remaining intact. So that what it does is it shrinks the entire landscape. Instead of maintaining multiple patches or multiple server components, hardware as well as software components, you could have one single core running your entire business being your ERP as well as your digital business, whatever is required. And even a lot of all the entire IS solutions also have been moved, majority of them. And from Fiori has been completely transformed, and we have a next version called Fiori 2.0 with more than 7,000 apps exclusively for S4HANA. And coming to the CDS views, there are about 9,000 views that have been made available as a standard. And S4HANA is a journey. SAP would continuously be innovating on the S4HANA platform, and you would have subsequent releases every year. The next in the sequence would be 1709, and say then on you would have possibly 1810 and like so on. So by 2025, SAP is going to stop the support for applications running on any DB, meaning the SAP is running on ECC, running on any database, but all the HANA versions would continue to have support, but with limited innovations. So one of the important point is when you migrate, you can migrate from any version of SAP ECC 6, be it base version to the EHP 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, or whichever version you are. As long as you're on ECC 6, you can migrate to S4HANA. So if you really see, like we talked about, the digital core is a platform for you. The ERP is going to be your digital core future to build your entire digital transformation for your business, wherein you can have your cloud products like the success factors or your Ariba for your collaborative networks, or if you have to integrate your machines and capture a lot of data and run some machine learning algorithms and give some predictive or prescriptive analytics using the IoT platforms like Leonardo, or you have the commerce experience for your using the hybrid commerce or the hybrid cloud for customer solutions. So once you have this S4HANA, it can seamlessly integrate into all other lines of business that your enterprise may need. So now, after the quick dope on the S4HANA, what it is, so what are the changes, it's actually that are there from a technology standpoint and from a business standpoint, and what is the value it brings? Let's have a quick look at that. So 10 times smaller data footprint, S4HANA, like we talked earlier, there's a lot of reduction and compression. HANA being a columnar database and in-memory database with a superior compression algorithm, the data compressions can be up to 1/4 the size. And S4HANA, by virtue of some of the tables being removed and the views created in lieu of them, we have a lot of advantage in terms of the data reduction. So all put together, you have a 10x platform reduction. So 1 terabyte traditional database could come down to almost up to 100, 150 GB. So your business itself, like we saw earlier, you can connect with multiple devices or multiple business networks, collaborative networks like Ariba, or social media or mail servers, email servers, your cloud applications. You can cut across the platforms for your business process. Your business process can seamlessly be integrated across these various applications and platforms. And compared to the traditional way of doing the processes, say procure-to-pay processes or order-to-cash processes, your business processes with much lesser steps, and also instead of transactions, performing the actual activities by way of apps, intuitive apps and insight-driven apps, your business processes have been reimagined and reduced, with much lesser steps. And your business decision making, instead of relying on a slew of Excels and a lot of reports, column table reports, you can actually make your decisions based on the intuitive apps or dashboards. And coming to the value to your IT and users, definitely for users from a gray colored screens or some transaction based access, T-codes based access, you will have a specific role based. The applications that you need access would be enabled and availed for the users, and completely based on roles. SAP comes with a lot of predefined roles with the apps suited for those roles, like an account payable accountant or say a finance manager, etc. So completely role driven. So those apps only can be assigned to the users based on their role, and it becomes very easy from a standpoint for the IT to manage the roles and manage the access controls. And coming to the data models, what was running, the traditional databases run on the disk, and now, like we talked, SAP being an in-memory platform, the entire database runs on, during the runtime, runs on the memory. So it makes everything that much faster. Your analysis, which was can be improved by almost 1800 times. So your analytics would run that much more super speed, so that you can think of this as a platform. Earlier, whatever reports or things you cannot imagine on an OLTP platform, you can actually innovate and make those use cases and build those use cases on using HANA as a platform. And even the system configuration has completely changed, wherein a lot of T codes or steps in SPRO can be done away with, wherein you would have completely guided configuration with next kind of a setup. So this is how possibly, some of the intuitive, we talked about insight-driven apps and cockpits, wherein people can, at a look of it, can know what is right, what is wrong, the colors and the numbers, the metrics would give a straight away insight into what is right, what is wrong. So from there, they can focus on what are the things that have to be corrected quickly, get there into that particular app and do the necessary steps or take necessary actions based on the insights provided. Say, cutting back to this, say, for example, let us take a complete material order entry. People have to start some transactions and then use some reports generated out of the BW systems or some of the other reports generated. So look at a lot of those things, use their past experience, then predict, and then again go ahead and choose the transaction, for example, as a 3 steps. Compare that to see everything on one screen, see the analysis there, and also get a recommendation from the system saying, hey, this is possibly better than this. So that's complete a contextual insights thrown at you so that it becomes that much more faster. Your decisions can be real time and that much more quicker rather than waiting for an analysis for a day or even few hours and then take a decision. So a complete decision making itself shifts, and and the ease of using the system is multifold. So now that you have seen what is the S4HANA as a platform, and so what is it, like I discussed earlier, we can straight away go from the base ECC to any of the S4HANA version, or you can go to SOH. But when and why would I choose a decision? So let's go and quickly see that. Here if you see from the ECC 6.0, any enhancement pack, you can go to SOH, or you can go to SAP Simple Finance, or you can directly go to any of the digital core. So you can go straight to 1610 or even to 1709. But eventually by 2025, people have to move away from the NEDB to the SAP HANA. So if a person has chosen, if an organization has chosen SOH as a platform, they can continue to do so, and there is the latest is the EHP 8 and the classic functionality running with just the database replaced. SAP is not investing much on the innovations there, but you have everything else running for you, running that much faster. Performance is the only the Simple Finance. Yes, they'll get complete Simple Finance advantage, the finance advantage they would get, but the logistics remains the same way. No improvements there, but there is a very minimal innovations on the other platforms. But from a finance standpoint, the innovations continue. Whereas the future, the S4HANA core or the digital core is where the innovations are there completely, like we saw, about 7,000 apps and 9,000 CDS views, and completely simplified solutions across finance, manufacturing, projects, the equipment, ETM layer. So everywhere, all the innovations are being put into that platform, the S4HANA core. So simply to understand why S4HANA is different, like we said, it's not a normal upgrade. So this is what it is. So whether you're an SAP ECC system or even SOH and you're trying to migrate to S4HANA, the activities involve a pre-migration steps and checks for the finance and logistics piece, wherein a lot of steps which are driven through Solution Manager, the steps are all laid down. So you could run all the sequence of steps. If all the steps execute without any problem, then we get down to the actual migration piece, where there are a lot of uptime activities to be done technically. There are some downtime activities, and then again some uptime activities. Then you have a post-migration completely to check that the migration has happened cleanly. So where you're able to completely close the migration and technically sign off the migration and generate a trial balance. Then we are successfully migrated onto S4HANA Enterprise. So if there is any failures during the pre-migration or post-migration, they have to be assessed. This is where the business involvement is required compared to a traditional technical upgrade. So business will have to come if any reconciliation error is there or inconsistency is there between, say, for example, assets and GL module. The business has to be involved. They will have to sit with the consulting team and accordingly fix those issues, and then only they can go forward. Once the issues are fixed, maybe by posting a JV or some other corrective measure, the same thing is advised to be done in the production system as well, and then proceed with the migration, so that when we do the actual live migration, we do not encounter the same issue again. So another thing is S4HANA can happen only at a period end, whereas SOH can be done at any point in time. So once the period end is done and all the period end is completely closed in the current system, then only we can initiate the S4HANA migration. And then if you're on a classic GL, it can only happen at a year end, because You have to first migrate to new GL, which can only happen at a year end, and then only do S4HANA migration. So now considerations for going with SOH first. Why would I go to SOH when I have technically can go to S4HANA? Is because when we subscribe to SAP HANA, you would also be parallelly running the other database that you're currently in to reduce the dual maintenance and quickly get on the platform shift, or if your hardware is running out of life and you want to quickly get onto the new platform, SOH is where you would think of it, and also to give a very good platform experience, the performance improvement for your users, you might do it. Or if you are something like a classic GL, if you're already on a classic GL, you may want quickly to move to the to SOH and then later on do a new GL at a period end. So, or even if business is not ready for a period end quickly, you would want to move to SOH, and then later when the business is ready, you want to do a S4HANA. So what are the deployment options? Like we talked about, SAP S4HANA or HANA involves hardware as well. So I need to invest in the hardware as well. So if you're wanting to keep everything on premise, yes, you can procure the HANA appliances and the other related appliances for your other systems that you have, like the solution manager possibly, or the enterprise portal, or you might even have systems like BW, etc. So you need to buy the hardware. So when you move your ERP or the core applications to HANA, you can move the other applications to Sybase, so that you don't have to invest fully on the HANA appliance for all the other applications as well. Your solution manager can run, for instance, in Sybase. So while that is the choice of the hardware, you also can choose the choice of deployment, whether you would like to completely have your hardware on-premise, or you have your hardware and co-locate it elsewhere, or you go with completely cloud using some cloud infrastructure provider, or you can have a mix of it wherein you will have your DR, disaster recovery in the cloud, and your productive systems on the on-premise, or have your productive system on-premise and development and test systems in cloud. So you can do a mix and match, and it's completely compatible for you. So now when I'm embarking, so as an organization, if you're embarking on S4HANA journey, what is the tentative duration that you need to plan? So if you're going with an SOH, wherein your landscape is pretty straightforward with a three-system ECC and a solution manager, it could be around 6 to 8 weeks. Whereas with S4HANA, it could be 10 to 14 weeks. Again, there are a lot more parameters that you need to consider, number of company codes involved, and number of years of the ECC or the SOH has been in place. The legacy ECC system is being operational. More the number of years possibly you need to factor, because the pre-migration could take that much more time. Obviously, if there are other systems like the BI, the EPPO, etc., the timelines would have to be increased, because all those will have to be migrated to Sybase or HANA if you choose to. And once you have completed the technical migration and moving everything, if you have agreed on a pre-num set of apps with your partner, yes, the Fury deployment might take few more weeks after you have successfully migrated to S4HANA. So now, after the duration, yes, you need to consider the important thing when you're making a business case. What you need to consider is the budget heads, certainly, that you need to consider. So what could be the components constituting your budget? So one is definitely the software license cost as a fee for your HANA database. So how the math works is that all the purchase, the spend that you have made on SAP licensing right from the start until today, so that is the base, and on top of that there's a percentage which is put, depends on every market. So that is the price you pay to acquire the HANA database license. And on top of that, you need to, as a one-time thing, you would actually pay the SAP S4HANA product bundle. And the HANA database, once you procure it, you will also have the AMC, like you would pay the AMC for Oracle or for DB2. Likewise, you would also continue to pay the AMC yearly anyway. So coming for the hardware costs, also you have to budget for your hardware costs, because if your hardware is run out of life completely, then you need to replace your entire hardware. But yes, if you have some of the hardware is reusable, definitely you can use it for your app servers, or for some of your other components, you can reuse the hardware which run on Sybase. But HANA appliance is something you can invest in. So we talked about these models. You can have a CapEx model or a CapEx plus OpEx, where you co-locate your hardware elsewhere, or you have the OpEx model completely, where you approach AWS or Azure or some of the other private cloud services, or HANA Enterprise Cloud. where the infrastructure is completely as a service. Then the most important budget head that you need to consider is the SAP HANA S4HANA conversion service cost to be paid to your services partner. Then there could be few other things like upgrading your gadgets, like maybe provisioning tablets for some of your people in the company, or improving your network and connectivity, your desktops and laptops, etc. And final component is the indirect cost, because the business and IT teams have to be paid to the project, definitely like you would do for any other project. But compared to a normal upgrade project, the business participation is required more in the pre-migration and the post-migration stages, like we discussed earlier. So this brings us to the end of this webinar, first webinar in the series of webinars. Let us catch up for the next set of webinars in this series. Thank you, everyone.